everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing a fun little vlog that I thought of, and the plan for today is I'm going to go to Barnes & Noble and I'm going to pick a book that I have never heard from before, because I started reading in like middle school. I read before that, but like I really got into reading in middle school, and a lot of the times in middle school, like I feel like a lot of you have done, I used to just like go in to Books A Million at the time because that was the closest to my house with my parents, or I'd go to the school library and I would just look around, look at all the books, see what cover pulled my eye, read the back of it, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna read this, and I'd take that home. And that would be the extent to my knowledge on a book. I would just pick it up, see how I felt. If the synopsis pulled me in, that's what I would read. Nowadays, because I am on, Book Talk, BookTube, Bookstagram, I get so much book content from everyone that a lot of my recommendations, a lot of what I read is just from what I see online and what people are recommending. And I kind of already have, preconceived notions somewhat going in because people give their reviews and I go off of that. And then sometimes, even if I am in Books A Million or Barnes & Noble's or the library and I see a book, I'll pick it up and I immediately go to Goodreads. And I never used to do that as a kid. I would just pick it up. If it sounded good, I was gonna read it. Now, if I pick it up, I immediately I'm going to Goodreads. I'm not even like looking at the back of it. I'm just picking up on Goodreads. And if its score is less than like 3.9, 3.8, hell, even if it's less than like 4.0, I'm like, nope, that's probably not gonna be good, and I put it back. And I hate that. I miss back in the day when I didn't used to have to look up other people's reviews, because I do that now too. Even if I pick it up, I'll look it up on, Book Talk and get like a quick minute review of people talking about it and see what, the vibes are, see what other people think. And I want to try and not do that today. So that's the plan. We are going to go to Barnes & Noble. I'm gonna take a look around, see what books catch my eye. I'm gonna read the back synopsis, and then if I like the synopsis, I'm gonna read it. I am not looking on Goodreads. I'm not looking it up on Book Talk, not looking it up on Bookstagram, nothing. I can't look anything up. And then also, I've made a rule. Obviously, it can't be anything I've heard of before. It also cannot be by an author I've heard of before, because even if it's say a new release or it's a book that I didn't know this author had out, I already know about the author. So again, I already kind of have some preconceived notions going in, knowing I've heard of the author, knowing I've heard good things from the author. So I'm already kind of like somewhat, my opinion's already somewhat jaded. My opinion's already somewhat made from that. So that's the rule. Can't be a book I've heard from before. Can't be from an author I've heard from before. No looking up on Goodreads. No looking it up on any sort of social media. We are going in completely blind. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this goes. I feel like I will most likely try and do a romance, because I do want to kind of get through it quickly. I don't want to be spending days on it, and I know if I get like a chunky fantasy, it's going to take me forever to finish, not knowing going in. So I feel like maybe I will do a romance. That seems like I have the highest likelihood of really enjoying it if it's a romance, because I'm not too picky when it comes to romance personally, but I feel like that's my best case scenario. And also I'm like really in a romance mood. I just started reading my first Catherine Cowles book. Really enjoying that so far. I'm actually so surprised I'm really enjoying it. But that's the plan. Going to Barnes and we're going to pick out our never before seen, never heard of romance for the vlog. Let's roll. That genuinely took so much longer than I was expecting. I did get 3 books. One is a book that I wanted to get. Like, I already knew I was going to get it, which is If It Makes You Happy. I've heard very good things about this. I've seen this everywhere. So, Pure Rom-Com Magic. I wanted to give this a try. I've heard literally nothing but good things about it. So, I wanted to give it a try. And then, I think the 2 books that I got, I'll tell you about when I get back to my apartment so I can actually, like, sit down and discuss. But I've been in there for fucking ever. What time is it now? It is 3:26. I'm pretty sure I got here at least, like, 2. So, granted, an hour and a half in a bookstore is not crazy for me, but, like, I was just walking around trying to find something, because anything that, like, caught my eye was obviously things that, like, I knew, because I'm just used to that. It's just like, oh, I recognize that, I recognize that, I recognize that, and trying to get something that I didn't recognize at all, author or, like, book, was so fucking hard, and I went back and forth so many things. I picked up a stack of 4 books, and I went into a corner, and then I just read, like, the first chapter of each one. And honestly, I didn't read the entire first chapter of any of them. I only read the entire first chapter of one of the books, and that's the one I didn't get. It was like a werewolf, paranormal, fantasy romance. I wasn't a fan of the writing in that one. And then it was exciting, though. So I don't know. Maybe I'll pick it up another time, but, like, I just really wasn't a fan of the writing. Maybe I'll get an audio. And then I also got, which one did I not pick up? It was like was it like a billionaire romance? I don't know. It was A Marriage of Convenience, because his grandma left his company to his wife, but he's not married, so he needs to marry her, and I think they're, like, friends, and she's always had a crush on him, and then I guess, you know, they start getting closer. That was going fine. I don't know why. That one I picked up, and I just was not interested. I don't know, my eyes, like, glazed over as soon as I started reading, so I was just like, okay, this is not the right time. It does sound like a good concept, and it does sound fun, but I just think not the right time. But the other 2 I did grab, because I couldn't decide between either. I was really enjoying the few pages I read of both. So I got both, and we'll see how I feel. I feel like the premise of both sound really fun. So we'll see which one I pick for this video. Good morning. It is, in fact, the next day. I did not update you when I got back from Barnes & Noble yesterday. There's really no reason. Like, I think I stopped to grab early, like, late lunch, early dinner, because it was around, like, 3:30, 4-ish. And then also I just wanted to finish my current read, which was All the Missing Pieces by Catherine Cowles, which highly recommend. I really enjoyed this. This is not my first romantic suspense, but my first romantic suspense that I was, like, fully locked in on, and I enjoyed both the romance plot and the suspense plot, so very recommend that. But that's not what this video is about. We're getting sidetracked. I've already put this off. I mentioned I picked up 2 books, and these are the 2 books I got. First, let's talk about this one, because this is Alive and Wells by Bailey Hanna. And now, I said I was going to try and decide which one I was going to read, but I figured out I do actually know this book, and the way I figured it out was so, like, convoluted. I went down, like, so many avenues, but I was watching a YouTube video from Peace Love Books, and I don't even think it was like her holiday vlog, and she was talking about, she bought 2 sweatshirts, and the first, like, the shop she bought it from, I can't remember what it was, but she mentioned she also loved the shop called Threaded by Sabrina. So I went and I looked it up on Instagram, and I went to their Instagram, and I was looking at their sweaters, and I was like, oh, these are so cute. And then one picture comes up of a sweater, and she's holding this book, but she's also holding the book with the alternate cover, which I do know this cover. And when I saw it, I was like, shit, I do know that book. Which, when I saw this in store, like, obviously, I 100% didn't recognize this cover. Like, I've never seen it anywhere. And the other 2 books in the series, they had this type of cover with it. They didn't have the, like, flower cover. So I was sitting last night, and I was like, well, technically, like, I do know the book. If I had seen that cover in store, I wouldn't have picked it, because, well, 100% I did not know this synopsis or anything, and I definitely did not recognize the author at all. I did recognize that cover. And my rules, for me at least, was like, it couldn't be anything that even slightly sparked any sort of preconceived notion, preconceived knowledge on what the book was, because I have seen that book on social media. Whether it was good or bad, I really don't know. I'm pretty sure I've just seen it recommended, and like I said, I literally had no idea what that book was about at all. So technically, like, I really don't know what anything is, but, like, if it had that cover in store, if I had seen that cover, I would not have picked up the book. So we're not reading this in today's vlog, because I want to honor, you know, the rules. I want to follow within the rules. So I'm not reading this. This is not the pick we're going with. The book that I did end up picking up was On One Condition, and I started this last night, and I've been reading it a bit this morning. I'm about 20% in, and I am actually really enjoying it so far. The premise of this is we're following two people, Asher and Ledger. Interesting names. This is a billionaire small town romance. And I guess 15 years ago, they had not a summer fling, because I guess it was like over 3 different summers. They would spend all their summers together, and you know, they were each other's first. They were in love. It's been 15 years since then. He's back in town because the like town council's like forcing him to be there because him and his brothers have invested in a resort, like this $1 million resort, and the town is kind of strong-arming the permits unless one of them comes for 2 months to stay to, like, I don't know, prove that they actually care about the town or some shit like that. I don't know. But when he meets up with her, I guess there's a reason why he left. We have yet to figure out this reason, or we've yet to be told what that reason is. But she very much thinks that he just like dipped on her. He just left 15 years ago. He's been ignoring her calls, her texts, her emails, and that's kind of how it ended. And so in like the second chapter is when they meet. And I guess, like I said, there is a reason why he left, but he figures out pretty early on that she doesn't know, I guess, what happened. We still don't know. So I don't know what the whole thing is, but there is a reason why he left or he had to go. And he realizes she doesn't know that there's a reason, that she just thinks like he abandoned her, because they had plans to meet like that night underneath like the willow tree, and he just never showed. So this is definitely like a plot I've heard before. The like, we planned to meet, you never met up, and you abandoned me, and I haven't seen you in years. I love that kind of plot, so I'm enjoying it so far. The writing is pretty decent, and I don't know what it is. Normally, I'm 100% a hater of paperbacks with sprayed edges, but I kind of like this one. It says, she makes me feel things, want things, and I like it. It works for me. I did download this on my Kindle as well, so I was reading a bit on my phone this morning in bed, and I was trying to avoid seeing the rating on it, like the Amazon rating through Kindle, which I didn't super succeed at. So I do know, I think this does have a decent score on Amazon, but I don't ever use Amazon as like my litmus test for the rating on a book, because half the time the ratings in Amazon are about either like 50% will be about the content of the book, and 50% will be like, oh, the person delivered it incorrectly, or my copy was damaged. So those ratings really don't super mean much if you're trying to like really figure out if the book is good. So I still haven't looked on Goodreads, and it's taken literally all of my self-control not to open up Goodreads and like pull this up and like read other comments and like see what the rating is, because I do that all the time. But so far I am enjoying it. So I'm going to continue to avoid Goodreads, because I know if I see that it has a low rating, or if I see other people are rating it lower, it might start to like, because you don't try to have things cloud your opinion, but like things that you weren't picking up on before, maybe someone mentions it and you're like, oh yeah, I'm seeing it now. We're gonna try and avoid that. But yeah, like I said, it's going well so far. I'm only 20% in. I want to see if I can get a good chunk of this done today. We'll see. I do have some recording to do and some editing, but so far so good. This was a good pick. I am still planning on reading this. Know that it's a pretty short book. It's this copy is less than like 300 pages. Well, if you don't count the bonus epilogue, it's 302 pages. So she's a short one too. So I am still gonna read this at some point, but to honor the challenge, I had to go with this one, and I'm not regretting it. I'm enjoying it so far. Hopefully it stays on that course, but I hope it's good. And on the front, does it say on the front here? Yeah, I didn't even realize this. It says a spicy romance. So I'm 20% we've yet to get any spice, because normally when it says like a spicy romance, it's like spice from the beginning of the get. So I don't know. Things are pretty tame so far, but like obviously we're probably gonna get some spice coming up very soon here. But I'll update you. I'll probably update you around the 50% mark, see how I'm feeling about the halfway point, and then we'll chit chat then. But so far the challenge is going well. All right, let's talk about on one condition. I am just past the 50% mark. I'm at about 200 pages into this. I'm not loving it so far because, one, I don't think we've gotten enough about their past relationship for me to give a shit about them. And we haven't really gotten much of an interaction with them to build this relationship for anyone to really care about this relationship, because it's really just basing off of what they experienced in the past. And so my first critique, we've already had 2 spicy scenes. One was at like 130 pages in, the other one was at like 160. And I don't know, because like I just don't care about the relationship, so I just didn't care about the spice, you know? Because we've had so far, I think, 5 flashback scenes, and only one of them involves them being like happy and in love, and that was the prologue. That it was like after their first night together, their first time, and it ends with them saying like, oh, I'll love you forever, or some shit like that. I don't know. And that was really it. Like that was really it when it came to seeing their past relationship, because the other flashback was, the first one was like them meeting for the first time, and then it just goes right into another flashback where like his dad basically told her to stay away from him because like she wasn't good enough for him. The next flashback was him basically telling the son, stay away from her, she's not good enough for you, and some other things. And then another flashback with the dad just kind of berating his son. So we really got 0 basis for their past relationship, and like we're being told that their last relationship was, you know, this big thing, which realistically, they said they only spent summers together. They spent 3 summers together. So essentially their entire relationship is like 9 months. It's 9 months over 3 years, but that's, they only spent 3 months with each other over each year. So I'm also just kind of like, it's been 15 years since then. Like you were 17. This was essentially a high school relationship, and that totaled up to 9 months. And you haven't moved on in 15 years. You're in your 30s now, and you're still hung up on this person, which I understand, like it ended pretty devastatingly for both of you, but I would feel like it'd be something that over 15 years you'd be able to like process and eventually move on, and eventually like find someone else and move on with your life. But it doesn't seem like either of them really was able to move on from either one, and I don't get that. I really don't get that. Maybe I'm like a heartless bitch, but I'm just like, over 15 years you couldn't get over this? Like I feel like it would have worked for me if it hadn't been 15 years, if it was like 5 years later, 6 years later, then I could like get why they were still like kind of attached to this. But 15 years? You were 17 when this happened. You're telling me in almost like basically that entire time that you'd been alive at that time, you still hadn't gotten over it? Okay, I don't get it. And right now at this 50% mark, they're like good. They're hooking up with each other. They're not really starting a relationship because they kind of have an understanding like he's supposed to leave in 2 months. So they're just like kind of hooking up, going on dates, or I think they're about to go on like their first date maybe. But that's really it. Like they're kind of good at this point. There's really no tension or any sort of angst between them, because obviously he thought, she now knows like why he had to leave. We've figured that out. And that's it. There's already been 2 sex scenes. So I'm just kind of like, okay, then what? Like, is the rest of this just, I guess, them trying to figure out if they can make it happen past 2 months? Like, if he's going to stay in this town, or if he's going to go with her, she's going to go with him to New York. So I don't know. And honestly, I don't super care. I thought about DNFing this, I'm not going to lie. But I got past, because there was one point that like really irritated me. Right around the first sex scene, they're out at a bar, like she's out at a bar, and he gets there and he sees, I guess it's, I don't know, her friend or just some guy that always flirts with her in town. And she says, his guy's name is Carson. He says, knock it off, Carson, stop. And then he says, come on, you've been cock teasing me all night. Hell, for years. Just admit you want me. And then he smashes his lip to hers, and she's like struggling to push him off. And Ledger's seeing that, and he punches that guy to get him off her. And she's just like, Carson's harmless. He's fucking harmless. He's just Carson. Like, he's just him. And I don't like that narrative. This man said, you've been teasing me all night. You admit you want me, and then forced a kiss on you. That's icky behavior. I don't care that he's your friend. I don't care if it was like, that's just who he is. He's just joking. That's icky. And I don't like this narrative that Ledger was in the wrong for punching him, because that's kind of how it is. And that it's pretty much how it's stated. I don't like that. That was icky. Icky, icky, icky. And I don't like the narrative that like, oh yeah, he forced me to kiss him, but like it was no big deal. He was drunk. That's just who he is. Ew, no. And then like immediately right after that, she gets mad at him for punching him. That's when they hook up for the first time, like 3 pages later, in the bathroom at a bar, which is also like, okay. But then, 30 pages later, they have their heart to heart and they hook up again. And yeah, And now they're like just like happy together. That's really it. Like, I don't know what else we can get from this. Like, I don't foresee this getting much better. I don't foresee myself giving this more than like a 3 at this point. I feel like this is gonna be a solid 3, which isn't bad. It's just, there's nothing about this that's making me like, ooh, I want to keep going. I want to pick up the book. Like, not gonna lie, if I wasn't recording this, I probably would DNF this, but I'm not going to. One, because I paid for the book, and I believe in this video. So we'll see how this goes. I'm gonna continue on. Maybe I'll continue to like it. I don't know what other drama can really go into this. I genuinely think the only thing left is that he's leaving in 2 months, and whether or not they're gonna want to, because right now they're of the understanding, okay, this is only gonna be 2 months and then we're gonna be done. But I'm assuming, you know, obviously they're gonna get closer and they're gonna be like, oh, well, I love you. And they're gonna have to figure out, are they gonna stay together after the 2 months? Is he gonna stay? Is she gonna go? That's really, I feel like that's all that's left in this. I don't know. Again, it just hasn't really built the relationship very well because we didn't get any of the basis from their past. And then there really hasn't been much to build on in this future point because it's just going under the assumption that, okay, well, they already loved each other before and they've loved each other like throughout all of this. So we don't really need to build up the love. They've already loved each other. And I don't really feel much. I don't really feel anything for them, unfortunately. I want to, but book's just not, it's not giving me it. Also, I figured out this is actually the second book in this series. I don't know what the first book's about because, like I said, I haven't looked this up on Goodreads yet, but I did see it on Kindle Unlimited that this is the second book in the series. It's reads as a standalone. I don't think there's really not anything in this that I think I'd have to read that book first because I'm pretty sure this first book follows his other brother, who maybe I'll read that one. I don't know. But this is going, I'm going to continue on. I'm going to finish this up and then I'll give you my final thoughts. But I fear this is going to be a 3-star. I have finished on one condition. I feel like I want to give this like a 2.5 because I didn't love it. I did not love it. And it pretty much, what happened in the second half is what I thought was going to happen. There really wasn't any conflict. The only conflict was that they didn't know if they could be together past the 2 months. They were very much just like, oh yeah, it's only 2 months and whatever. And there was also like a lot of low-key miscommunication in the second half because there's that like I just feel like a lot of what happened to this was just like so obvious. It's like shit that's happened in other books where at one point, you know, obviously she starts falling for him, he's falling for her. She overhears him talking to his brothers and he's like, oh, you know, this isn't deep, this isn't that serious. And he was just saying it to obviously like get them off his back. He didn't actually mean it, but like she overheard it and she's like, oh, well, clearly, you know, he doesn't want to be with me, blah, blah, blah. So you know, I'm not going to say anything because that's just what it is. It's just going to be the 2 months. And then I don't know, they argued about this fucking town, which they stayed in town, and I really don't understand why, because, like, nobody in this town really fucking likes her, and they're all really judgy towards her, and I get that, like, her farm is there, like, her grandparents' farm, and it means a lot to her, but, like, everyone there, or, like, they don't hate her, but, like, they don't really like her, simply just because her mom, which I don't remember them saying what happened to her mom. I don't know if she died or she just disappeared. I really don't think that was ever explained, or it was, and I just glazed over that part. They don't know, like, she doesn't know who her dad is, and they're pretty sure it's like someone in town, and like that's why everyone treats her like shit, because I guess they all think her mom's a whore. So like, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I don't know, it was all dumb. The second half of this was just kind of boring, dumb. Them splitting up and like their little third act breakup, also dumb. I didn't care. And I feel bad, like I wanted this to be a success. And I will say, I don't think I'm not disappointed that this didn't work out, because I think somewhat the upside of me going into this and having like zero expectations and zero preconceived notions is that, like, since I didn't like it, I'm not like disappointed, because I really didn't have any feelings either way going into it. It just, you know, it didn't work out. I didn't like it. And I feel like it didn't like it just because like it was so, there was nothing that was surprising in this book. Nothing's going to surprise you. It followed every standard stereotypical step of like a romance like this. When there's like a deadline, they are getting closer, they start to question it, she overhears, she thinks it's nothing. Like everything about this was just like so obviously, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, this is gonna, like, if you've read any amount of romance, if you're a romance reader, like every step of this is just so cut and paste from other things. So this was not it. And I feel bad because I wanted to like this more. Like, I think I said I'm giving this a 2.5. This just wasn't it, which is sad because I like this cover and I like these sprayed edges. And normally, like I said, I'm not a sprayed edge girly, but like I really do like this one, and I hate that I didn't enjoy it. Ooh, I should pull up the Goodreads listing though. I can finally look at it now. Let's take a little look-see as to what... Oh, my iPad unplugged. Oh, I'm 12%. Okay, we gotta take a quick look. I will put what I find up on the screen. I don't know, I feel like this one has a good rating. One condition. Kay Brownberg. Yeah, 4.08. See, if I had seen that, I would have gone into this expecting to really like it. But it's a 4.08. Honestly, no one I follow has read this. Only one person who I'm friends with marked it as want to read. So there's that. That has decently good reviews. What does the first book? Yeah, the first book even has good reviews. The first book is much shorter. So I don't know. It wasn't bad, but it also wasn't good. This, I don't know, when was this published? Because maybe that'll explain. This was originally published 2022. So even then, like, I was like, if this had come out like 2010 or something, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense as to why it just feels very like generic cookie cutter small town billionaire, which him being a billionaire really didn't have that much of a fact. Like, it really didn't add much to the story except for at like two points, and him trying to run this town. Also, so many people are so hung up on shit that happened in high school. The mayor, the reason why he's being so difficult about this permit, we figure that out, and I'm just like, because of some high school shit. And I get this is like a small town, but damn, like, all of y'all are stuck in high school. Like, you all really give a shit that much. And maybe it's because, like, I didn't give a shit about high school. I didn't give a shit about high school when I was in high school. So to be in my 30s, and I'm 27 now, so like, it's getting close to me being in my 30s, but to be in my 30s and still give a shit about shit that happened in high school, that's embarrassing. Personally, that's embarrassing. Who am I to judge? Who am I to judge? Who am I to judge? That's not for me to judge. You have your feelings. Small towns work differently. I'm not from a small town, so I don't know. Okay, I don't know. That's not for me to judge. But because I didn't like that, I feel bad about ending this video with a dud. So, surprise, I'm gonna read, what is this, Alive and Wells. Because technically I feel like this, because I didn't make the first one, I don't feel as bad reading it and adding it in, because it fits the spirit of what I was trying to do. Yes, I do recognize the alternate cover, but no, I didn't know anything about the author, nor do I know anything about the content of the book. So I feel like it still works well enough. And my first one was already a dud, so like, I'm trying to have somewhat of a win in this. I'm not gonna look up the rating on this, even though I did see the rating on Hoopla, but like, Hoopla ratings are also very different. I really only go off of the Goodreads rating if I'm gonna look up the rating on something. So I'm gonna read this. Probably gonna read like the first couple chapters tonight, and then pick it up tomorrow and later in the week. And we'll get to the end of this, and then hopefully maybe I can end this video, if not a win, like at least, you know, 3. Well, not a 3. I feel like I want it more than 3. At least a 4, 3.5, 3.75. That, we'll say that, 3.75. I feel like that could be a win for this. But we'll see. This sounds interesting. This is obviously a cowboy romance, and it follows a city girl who is, I guess, and I think she might be on the run from her husband because she's in an abusive relationship. I don't know. I use her ex-husband, but it says her ex. I don't know what's up. But her ex-husband was abusive, so she's kind of hiding out, or like trying to get herself together at this ranch. And Austin, I guess, runs the ranch. Austin Wells. I think this is like a Wells family. It follows like all of them. And he's kind of a dick to her, I guess, at the beginning, but then, you know, they get closer and they fall in love. So we'll see how this goes. I think this one also has like a time limit. I think she's only supposed to be there for like a little bit, and then she's planning on leaving and like going back to the city or whatever. So this is another one where he's small. Well, actually, you know, that's kind of vibes. Small town, time limit. One of them's planning to go back to the city after a certain amount of time. So both of them fit that vibe. So I'm hoping this one goes a bit better than this one. And I was like, considering I've heard some talk about this one, I don't know if it's good or bad. I'm hoping this one hits a bit more for me, but we'll see. We will chit chat tomorrow when I'm probably like more like 50% of the way into Alive and Wells, and I'll give you my thoughts on how it's going. Good night. All right, I'm about 50% of the way through Alive and Wells. I have been kind of listening to the audiobook all day. I read the first like 2 chapters last night before bed, and then I was listening to the audio while I was like washing my hair this morning, and I had to drive 30 minutes to Walmart because I bought some AirPods. I've been wanting some for a while. I've actually been really just wanting earbuds, and all the ones I've been buying I haven't liked. And I'm like, at this point, with how much I've been spending on the earbuds that just haven't been working, let me just buy the goddamn AirPods. Hopefully these work. I bought the Pros 2 because the Pro 3 just came out and the AirPod 4 just came out. I didn't want to get the regular 4s because I've tried, you know, the old like wired ones that they have. Those ones never used to stay in my ear, and that's the same shape with the standard AirPods. So I'm hoping the like little suction cup things will help this to stay in my ear, or I just gonna have to return them, which I hope I can return them. I didn't actually check if these are returnable. If not, guess my dad's getting a new pair of headphones. Okay, anyways, Alive and Wells. Like I said, I'm 50% of the way through. I'm enjoying it. I'm not gonna lie, the beginning part I wasn't super enjoying because we kick off, like the first beginning part kicks off with Cecily, and there's like an incident between her and her husband, and she has to run away, and she ends up at the ranch. And his first POV I was not loving because pretty much all of his thoughts were just like lustful, and that's not what I want when I'm reading from a POV. All he kept thinking about was like her perky tits, and that's just not something I want, at least not right out the bat. But it's gotten better. Like, yeah, he was talking about her tits and her ass and her sultry eyes, and that's not what I wanted. So it was a little much. And like, even from her POV, like every time she would think about him, she would just think about, oh my god, he's so hot, I'm getting so turned on, and I don't like that. And that's exactly why I DNF'd Bourbon and Lies recently, and that was a book club pick. So normally I try to force myself to read book club picks, but I couldn't get past that. But I kept going, and I am really enjoying it now. He has now figured out like her past, because he didn't know what she was running from, and she recently told him that she's running from her abusive ex, or he's technically still her husband now, because I guess they can't get divorced unless they're separated for a year. So he knows now, and he knows, you know, the guy's abusive, and you know, he might be coming to find her, so he's being very protective of her. Last night they shared a bed because, you know, she didn't want to be alone, and he only has one bed. So like, it's getting better. I'm enjoying it. They're cute. Austin's very against trying to start a relationship with her because he had a relationship in the past with a girl, kind of a similar story, like a city girl. She was kind of hiding out on the ranch because her parents were like very controlling and just, I guess, kind of shitty people. And he'd go really close to her, but like she was only going to be there for a short amount of time, and when he wanted to get serious with her, she like dipped. So he thinks, you know, he's scared about that happening again. He's scared it's going to happen with Cecily, that like she's only hiding out here until this stuff with her husband blows over, and then she's gonna leave. So he doesn't want to get close to her, but like they're getting closer. So we're gonna see how this pops off. I can pretty much already tell you how this book's gonna end. It's pretty obvious, like the pathway we're going down. The husband's probably gonna show up. There's gonna be a big whole thing, and either he's probably gonna get arrested or he's gonna die, because probably one of them's gonna, you know. And then, you know, they're gonna end up happily ever after. It's gonna be like, don't leave me. But it's going decently well so far. I'm enjoying it. I feel like it's a solid 3 to 4 star. We'll see how we progress from here, but I'm enjoying it. I do like it. All right, guys, it's time to wrap up this vlog. Got the mic up because I do have both the washing machine and my dishwasher running, so hopefully the sound quality is better on this. The video quality of this video has been shit. I know that, because normally I record with like sunlight, and it's been a sad rainy mess basically the entirety of the week, so I apologize. But Alive and Wells, I did finish this actually a couple days ago now, and I really enjoyed this. When I got to the end, I was like, oh, I feel like it's probably like a 3.75 maybe, but I just keep thinking about it, and I just thought it was really cute, because the second half of the book kind of went the way I was expecting. They get closer, you know, they fall in love with each other, her husband shows up, there's a confrontation, and then they live happily ever after. Like, we all knew that was going to happen. And I liked this setting. I liked how just down bad Austin was for Cecily. Like, once he was into her, he was just like all in, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I have actually, like, I've been thinking about this like days and days later. I'm just like, oh, like, it was so good. It was such a fun time. Was this a 5-star? No. Like, I think it's definitely like a 4 or 4.25, but I had such a good time with it. And I had such a good time with this that I really do want to get the rest of the series, because I think there's 2 other books out right now, and there's a fourth one coming out soon, which I was surprised because I did think this was an older series, but it's not. I guess it's decently new. I think the cover is just throwing me off because it does feel kind of 2000s, 2010s romance, if that's the vibe it's getting with this cover. But the new cover obviously kind of gives more updated, but I like these covers. I want to see if I can go back to Barnes and get these exact covers because I like the cowboy cover. Sue me, I like the cowboy cover. I like it more than the other one. I like the early 2000s vibe of it. I love real people on covers. I know people hate it. I like it. I feel like I only dislike it on YA, and that's because the people on cover thing was a big thing when I was reading YA. So that's probably why I dislike it. But like on romance, I like it. What can I say? It's my thing. Even on like lit fic. Okay, we're getting off topic. Anyways, Alive and Wills. Super, super good. Let's put up the Goodreads score. This, last time I checked, it does have a lower rating than On One Condition, the first book we read, and which is surprising because I think this has like a 3.9 last I checked. It's been a couple days, so who knows? Things could have fluctuated, but it was 3.9 last time I checked. And On One Condition had like a 4.03, so it's not like a super big difference. I don't know what the difference in amount of scores is or amount of ratings, but that could be affecting it. But even though the concept of me going and like trying to find a new favorite, new 5-star didn't necessarily work as my first pick and like trying to find a good book without knowing anything about it, I do think it did help me with not taking the Goodreads score so seriously. So, because I will say, like, if I had seen, like, if I was just picking both of these 3.9, 4.03, I probably would have thought, the first one would have been like really worked for me, and that would have been the hit of video because it had a better score. But even though this one doesn't have like necessarily a bad score, I feel like anything that starts with 3, I'm already kind of like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people are like that. But this had a lower score and I enjoyed it so much more than that other book. So I don't know, maybe I'm just a sucker for like a cowboy romance. Maybe that's just my thing. But I don't know, I thought it was super cute and they were cute. And I don't know, I just like that he was kind of a grump. And then when he fell for her, like he fell so hard and he was so into her and it was so sweet and I loved it. It was so good. I can't stop thinking about it. Like now that I'm talking about it, I'm just like, oh, it's so good. The other 2 books are Seeing Red and Change of Heart. And when I was in Barnes, I remember I looked at all 3 of them because I couldn't figure out which one was first because it doesn't say book 1 on any of these, but I was just going off of the back here. It lists them in order, but because this was the first one, I was like, was it listing it first because this is the one it's on? But this was always the order was listed on in the other 2 books as well. So I took a leap and I took an inference that this was the first one. I was right. But I think they're all are like, it's a series of standalones. So even if I read one of the other ones, it wouldn't matter. Similar to the first book, it's a series of standalones. I was able to read that second book just fine. I wasn't confused at all. So this was the hit of the video. On One Condition kind of sucked, but this, super good. If you're in the mood for a cute, fun cowboy romance, this is it for you. Just know it does deal with like domestic violence. It doesn't get like super graphic or anything. It's really only that first chapter in the prologue that contains that. So just know that going in. But other than that, this was a success. I'm happy I've got 2 now because at first I was upset that I technically kind of picked one that I sort of already knew, but I'm glad I did because at least now I had something positive to say in this video because I would have been really sad to end it with On One Condition. That would have been a flop. You guys do this challenge for yourself. Go out to Barnes, go out to your library, because I think I'm going to do this challenge again, but at the library, so, not spending money. And I think it might be a little easier at the library. I feel like the library kind of has even more of a variety, at least mine, than like Barnes, because my library has like a lot of shit that I never see. And it's not I don't think it'll be as hard for me to pick something, but you guys give this challenge a shot. Go out to Barnes, to your library, go pick something random and see if you like it. I had fun, even though one book kind of sucked, but I still had fun along the way. But please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.